It's a case of a fatal attraction gone horribly wrong, leaving many questions but very few answers. Hello everyone, my name is Anya, and in this video we're going to take a look at what happened on this day in the year 2013, the disappearance of Heather Elvis. In the early hours of the 18th of December 2013, 20-year-old Heather Elvis returned home to her South Carolina apartment after going on a first date. She had gone on a date with a man named Stephen Schiraldi, and they had spent time travelling around the area looking at Christmas lights. Heather sent this photograph to her parents showing her trying out her new date's car. Unbeknownst to everybody, this was the last photograph ever taken of her, as in the hours after this was taken, Heather Elvis vanished and was never seen again. Her car was found abandoned at the Peachtree Landing boat launch on the 19th of December, and after she was reported absent from work, Heather was reported missing and an investigation was launched. Heather's phone records were examined, and it was discovered that in the hours prior to her disappearance, she had been in contact with a man named Sidney Moorer. 37-year-old Moorer was a maintenance worker at the Tilted Kilt restaurant where Heather worked as a hostess. Her friends and colleagues reported that Heather and Moorer had had an affair that lasted for several months, despite the fact that Moorer was a married man with 3 children. When Sidney Moorer's wife Tammy discovered the affair, to say that she was furious was the understatement of this century. Tammy forced her husband to get her name tattooed on his stomach, she forced him to give her access to his phone, and she began to stalk and harass Heather. Moorer ultimately called off the affair with Heather, but despite the fact that the affair was finally over, Tammy continued to harass Heather. She constantly called the Tilted Kilt trying to get Heather fired. She posted insanities about Heather online, and she goes so far as to send pictures to Heather of her and Sidney Moorer having sex. The affair and its aftermath were said to have brought Heather down both physically and emotionally. In November 2013, the Moorers went on a 3-week vacation to Disney World. During that time, Heather was finally showing signs of moving on from the affair. She had a new job lined up, she was making changes in her life, and she was going on a new date. But she did have another worry, that she might be pregnant. Heather noticed that she put on a significant amount of weight, so much so that her work uniform had gone up 3 bra sizes. She took a pregnancy test, but the result came back as error, so whether she was pregnant or not remains unknown. In the hours after her date, Heather called her roommate and her work colleague, a woman by the name of Brianna, who was out of state visiting family for the Christmas holidays. Brianna reported to investigators that Heather was hysterical, claiming that Sidney Moorer had contacted her and said that he was planning to leave his wife for her. Brianna warned Heather not to contact Sidney Moorer and not to meet him. They finished their phone call, and that was the last time that Brianna ever spoke to her friend. Initially, Moorer denied any involvement in the case and denied ever meeting Heather or contacting her. But phone records and CCTV footage were examined. CCTV footage showed the Moorers' pickup truck leaving the Peachtree Landing area in the early hours of the 18th of December, the same area where Heather's car was found abandoned. CCTV footage also showed the Moorers cleaning out their car and burning rags. In November 2014, both Sidney and Tammy Moorer were arrested and charged with the kidnapping and murder of Heather Elvis. The murder charges were eventually dropped after no forensic evidence, no murder weapon, or no body was ever found. In 2018, Tammy Moorer was found guilty of obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, stalking, and harassment. She was given 2 concurrent sentences of 30 years in prison. In 2017, Sidney Moorer was found guilty of obstruction of justice. Initially, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but in 2019, he was also found guilty of the kidnapping of Heather Elvis. He was given the same sentence of his wife, 2 concurrent sentences of 30 years in prison. Both Moorers continue to deny any involvement in the disappearance case, and they continue to deny any wrongdoing or doing anything to Heather. They continue to appeal their sentences, but all appeals so far have been denied. A decade has passed since 20-year-old Heather Elvis has vanished, and to this day no trace of her has ever been found. and unless either Sydney or Tammy Moore open up, it may be unknown as to what really happened to Heather Elvis. This is a case of a fatal attraction gone horribly wrong, leaving many questions, but very few answers as to what really happened to 20-year-old Heather Elvis. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. My name is Anya, and we just looked at what happened on this day.